don't freak out. Even after the body hits the concrete floor in The Vampire Next Door, which is currently streaming on Tubi. It was written and directed by Sean King. No, not that one. This is a filmmaker named Sean King, S-E-A-N. Check out his IMDb page for the full list of his work. This centers around a man named Cameron, who's a 20-year-old boy, played by Alex Matthews. He's living with his parents. Nothing wrong with that. You do what you can. You live how you need until you can grow and go out into the real world, where it's not an ordinary world, and Duran just wants to see you survive. Cameron is trying to basically figure out what he wants to do. He works at an ice cream shop. He has a coworker named Liz, played by Margaret Race, in her feature role. And also he has a boss that's kind of a full-on dick. But Cameron has something to look forward to. Even if his parents kind of treat him a little bit strangely. His dad's a little bit forceful. His mother is just trying to, tell you, honey, eat better, figure this stuff out, and everything. You'll get life figured out. Also, there's a young lady named Diane, a very pretty, dirty blonde, played by Bella Chadwick, who obviously knows that Cameron likes her. Clearly, you can tell from their awkward exchanges, but also there's a bit of a complication, shall we say, a bit of a monkey wrench thrown a goddamn thing, as our Lord and Savior, the Foo Fighters, once said. Don't want to be your monkey wrench. One more indecent accident occurs when Victoria, played by Jessica Ferguson, shows up, and she's living next door to Cameron in a movie called The Vampire Next Door. Gee, I wonder what character she is. Yeah, she's a vampire. She's a vampire, by the way. And she is on a mission, and she asks Cameron to basically help her with this mission. And from there, we get some vampiric killings, and we also get, some comedy between Cameron, Diane, a crazy kid named Martin, and also some socially awkward stuff with him and Liz, his coworker. And considering this ice cream shop never really seems to have anybody there, then again, how are they going to do anything to while away the time except have some fun little awkward exchanges? Also, there's a couple bullies straight out of the Bulk and Skull playbook. And from there, we have a horror comedy. At least I assume this was meant to be a horror comedy. And look, I know that this was clearly a low-budget effort, and there was love and appreciation put into it, and I'm sure the cast had a really good time. There are neat little ideas here, and some halfway interesting scenes that, unfortunately, more often than not, get stretched out to the point that it's almost like you're pulling apart fresh taffy. This is an hour and 50 minutes with maybe enough material for 80 minutes, and that started to really grate on my nerves. There was potential here, and again, the people did what they could, but there were so many awkward moments. Not even awkward like, it's so funny. No, it's just like they were told to just basically stretch for goddamn time for some reason. I don't quite get it. I would really like to know what the motivation was to make this almost 2 hours. There's some, love and throwback feel towards like 80s vampire movies, horror comedies and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I guess. I'm going to be honest, this movie really wasn't all that great. It wasn't for me, even though I appreciate what everybody was trying to do. And I'm not saying don't check it out. You might feel differently. The cast does what they can. I do want to shout Margaret Race once again in her feature role. I think she has a bright future as far as being in horror projects if she wants to be. Everybody else, they're fine. Jessica and Bella are clearly, the filmmaker basically relies on them to just be catty and attractive and everything, and that's about it, especially Jessica. They practically make Victoria almost adult film vampire-like, which I've seen some of those movies back when Hollywood Video and Blockbuster existed. Don't ask me why. But it's just the character. I'm not saying the actor, it's just the character, the way they present her. Yeah, this was... It started out... It had moments that were okay, but it just wasn't overall all that great. I'm going to get into spoilers here, but I'm trying to keep things light because I could tell people, tried to, pour some fun into this. The fun factor was about here, and I think they were trying to aim it for there. It was what it was. It's inoffensive. It's just not all that great. So it's on Tubi if you want to check it out. Again, the cast certainly had fun making it. It was what it was. I'm going to get into spoilers right now. Spoiling a movie called The Vampire Next Door. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, the opening was a bit awkward. It was what it was. I'm sorry, but the way some of these the way some of these scenes played out, they're way too stretched out. Some actually felt like they were stretched out 3 times as long as they needed to be. He goes on a date with Diane. There's a guy named Martin that comes along. Diane reveals that Martin stood her up for prom. That's kind of full-on dickish. I mean, Diane is a beautiful woman, don't get me wrong. But if you get a chance with her, you don't fucking do that. And then later, Martin tries to get a second chance and everything, asks Cameron for help, so he's going to help on, he's going to help Martin with his dating life. And Victoria is so pushy to push it real good. She's pushing him because he's going to be her driver. She's noticed that he saw her undress. And so now you're going to be my driver. I'm going to tell your parents you were spying on me. And then it turns out she's killing vampires because her lover was killed back in 1890. And she's trying to find the ultimate vampire. This woman is so powerful. I wonder who the fuck it's Diane. It's Diane. That's who it is. I'm not saying the movie was trying necessarily for twists. And it was probably just trying to have a little bit of fun. But the key word there is fun. And this movie only has a little bit of fun. And is really, really, again, stretched out. So, yeah, she kills some guys randomly, tells them not to freak out, and then a body hits the floor and splatters. There's halfway decent gore effects. This is awkward. There were very, very, very awkward moments here, and not awkward for the sake of comedy, but just like, were they pointing the camera at them too long? Like, what was going on here? Liz, it turns out, actually does like Cameron a bit. Asks him to go to a concert. He kind of, pushes that off. Not that he doesn't care about Liz, but that he loves Diane, but also Victoria's asking him to drive her around a whole bunch. We do more comedy with him and Martin, trying to basically win Diane's heart. The boss of this ice cream shop, kind of a full-on dick at one point. Diane basically realizes that Cameron does like her, obviously, clearly. Victoria basically has Cameron stand up to his bullies and eventually punches him in the ribs a couple times, and that's it. She does comedy then with the guy that kind of looked like Bulk, in all honesty, just with weird SLC punk hair. Screwed that reference up, but let's just move on like I didn't. And, yeah, he resists the lusty charms of Victoria because he loves Diane. Victoria basically figures out it's Diane that did all this stuff. She's trying to interrupt this relationship because she can never love you like I love you. She can never love you at all because she's a vampire. Duh, we all goddamn knew that. He stands up Liz. Liz ends up punching him sometime later. Fair, because you should say, I will try to be there instead of, I swear to God I'll be there, or I swear I'll be there, because then you're just making somebody feel bad. And if you have a chance, even if you're dipping your pen in company ink, so to speak, if you have somebody that puts their heart out there, you actually maybe let them down easy if you're not actually interested. But everybody's motivations change and go all over the place. The boss gets bit at one point, so he's turning into a vampire, or turns into a vampire instantly. Martin gets turned into a vampire after going out on a date with Diane where Cameron is in his ear with an earpiece. Obviously, how the fuck else would he be in there? Possibly as an ear mite, shrinking down and doing that. I would have watched that. And Cameron's like, I'll take it for, not Cameron, but, Cameron's like listening, and then Diane says, I'll take it from here. Cameron then bites Martin, so now he's a familiar. And her and Victoria get in a fight, but then Diane basically confesses, no, they made me... I joined your clan with your lover, and then my master found out and basically forced us to kill. So no, it's fine. I drank his blood, so we're like blood sisters. No, really, that's how the fucking thing ends. And then they leave. The boss leaves. They're gonna go somewhere else. Oh, they can be out in the daytime too for some reason. And then he basically decides he wants to make books about lesbian vampires, and then he talks to Liz. Liz doesn't want to see him. She takes over the ice cream shop because the boss is undead. And he tells her the whole story. She says, well, I'll give you a D for that, an F for how you treated me, but a B plus for the story. Because, whatever. And are you going to come in? It's raining really hard. And it's all true. And Again, there were moments that tried to be funny, but just this was not good. I'm sorry, this was not good. I encourage people to check it out, and I wish nothing but the best for the filmmaker and the cast. And once again, wants to shout out Margaret Race. Thought she did pretty good here. And, you know, the guy who played Cameron, he did fine. It was what it was. It gets an F, though. I'm sorry. It's not a 1 out of 10. It's not great. It's all right. I mean, it's all right in parts. Just too stretched out. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.